Hi, welcome back to another show. My name is Jitu Jason, and you're watching Impact India. Let's get started with the first and only news for today, which is government's deep tech fund has a huge conflict of interest problem. The Research Development and Innovations Department launched a 1 lakh crore scheme. Now, the Technology Development Board Investment Committee is the one that leading the disbursement of this fund. Now, out of this 1 lakh crore taxpayer money, 2,192 crore of your money goes to private companies, and 15 out of these 22 recipients are connected to the committee members. So the juicy fact number one is the chairman's network is everywhere. The chairman, Saurabh Srivastav, isn't merely connected to one startup. His Indian angel network has their fingers in pretty much all the pie here. Most interestingly, Car Robotics received 11.41 crore, while Srivastava personally owns 0.75% and is a director of this company. The Indian angel network related entities also hold a very substantial stake in Nokar. So the relationship isn't merely, he knows these startups. No, in at least one case, he is literally the director and shareholder of a company receiving government money, of which he is the committee chairman of. So the government says he recused himself from conflicting decisions. Okay, so note that most committee members don't have direct connections. Their money is parked in a fund that have invested in these companies for whom these members are going to make decisions for. Okay, so this creates a fascinating governance question. If I sit on a government committee and the VC fund I have my money in owns a startup, is recusing myself from that one vote enough? Because I can still participate in choosing the broader funding priorities that might be biased towards the companies that my fund has fingers in, evaluating competing companies. Maybe I could eliminate companies that my fund doesn't have funds in, discussing the ecosystem that benefits the companies that I am connected to, setting standards, seeing confidential information, influencing the composition process of future selections. Maybe I would select companies that are aligned with the companies that I'm associated with. Now, there is no allegation that this has happened. This is just concerns. Okay, the funds have not been dispersed yet as of now, so this is just in the preliminary stage. The fact number two is that Tata has a surprisingly large footprint. So KS Jamwal retired as executive director of Tata Industries only on June 2026. Now, the fact number three is some panel members weren't just investors, they were company directors. So let me give you a few examples. Saurav Srivastava, director of Nokark Robotics. Sanjay Nayak, former CEO and co-founder of Tejas Networks, the company that is responsible for 4G and 5G in India. Gopal Srinivasan, 33 preference shares in Agnikul Cosmos. Anand Deshpande, 65 preference shares in Surgeon. So fact number four is the government actually has a pretty strong defense for this. The government isn't saying nothing happened. It's saying, yes, conflicts existed. That's why we have recusals. And there are additional safeguards. Companies where a committee member has an operational role, founder owns the company, has more than 10% stake, are supposedly not even eligible to become a committee member. And selection requires a two-thirds super majority as opposed to just a 6 to 5 simple majority. So the government deliberately bought in people from the private ecosystem because they know which technologies are investable. Because if you use a bureaucrat or an IAS officer, they have no idea who to choose exactly. That is not going to work. That hasn't worked in India. Bureaucracy is shit. So they're trying something different, which has obviously a conflict of interest. But those same people naturally have investment relationship within the ecosystem they are judging. This is the structural dilemma. If you remove all investors, you lose the expertise. If you include investors, they create conflict of interest. So the moral of the story is India created a 1 lakh crore deep tech fund. Then 62% of its first money went to companies connected to the people choosing them. Because the people choosing them are the industry expert in investment. Therefore, they have fingers in most of the pot. That is what is happening here. Okay. Now, I am generally for this because India lacks, R&D budget. The R&D budget of India as a percentage of GDP is 0.67%. If that is going to increase, well and good. And if there is a conflict of interest, I don't care about this. As long as there's no hanky-panky business, as long as the money is not wasted, I am for it. If something good comes out of these investments, what's the problem? Anyway, that's just my opinion, my position on this. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, bye.